Uber, Apple, X, Airbnb, and many other companies are starting to pay attention to crypto. And I know this doesn't really reflect the current state of the crypto markets because everything kind of nuked yesterday. And we're not really pumping. We haven't really experienced an altcoin season. But again, I personally think, and again, this is my narrative, I personally think that we are going to have an altcoin season once we get these digital asset cryptos, spot ETFs approved. And it's going to take some time, primarily because we're building a solid foundation in the USA for crypto to thrive. And yes, that takes time because public servants move slow. But we have to talk about stories like this because it adds to positive fundamentals for crypto as a whole, especially specific ecosystems. Because most recently, we've had Web 2 companies add Ethereum, XRP, Solana to their treasuries. It's a little bit different than Michael Saylor adding Bitcoin to Strategy's balance sheet because the treasury really kind of determines the financial health of a company. But it's still important because basically these companies are adding different cryptos because they anticipate them to do well. Otherwise, they wouldn't be adding them. But first, let's start with Uber. And again, Uber and any of these companies have not added any specific cryptos to their treasury or their balance sheet, etc. However, that may happen in the future. So according to Cointelegraph, Uber is currently in study phase of using stablecoins to transfer money globally. The CEO says it can reduce transaction costs by like 80%, which if you've been in crypto as long as I have, you know that this is true. Sending crypto, stablecoins, Bitcoin, whatever is more cost effective than sending fiat. And there's no barriers. Well, with stablecoins, there kind of is. They haven't announced any specific timeline or what chains they're interested in, but the fact that they're having the conversation is bullish for the future. Again, this builds a solid foundation. And in the article, they also said that stablecoins could benefit Uber's global operations like driver and supplier payments. And honestly, this makes sense. Uber is a global company, meaning that they have to deal with a lot of different currencies, and utilizing a stablecoin could help them save costs. Now, Apple, X, and Airbnb, according to Fortune, are among growing number of big tech firms exploring crypto adoption. Remember earlier this week, we had talked about tech stocks going up. A lot of people are starting to turn to tech stocks because they think they will do incredibly well in the future. And the fact that a lot of tech companies are now interested in crypto is a win-win. And again, these companies, Google, Airbnb, X, and Apple, are very interested in stablecoin integration because it's going to help with their bottom line. And again, we have so many different chains that have different ecosystems. Google Cloud already accepted stablecoin payments from customers, so that's a positive. Airbnb has discussed stablecoin payment processors like WorldPay to reduce fees. Again, the bottom line. And I want to say that Airbnb is global, but correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, a quick Google search, and Airbnb is global. Similar to Uber, this would help with their bottom line and allow them to deal with different types of payments. Plus, customers would be able to just pay in the native currency or the native stablecoin without having to deal with any of those like the transfer of money, etc. The conversion. Y'all know what I mean when you travel. And this is no big news, but apparently X is also exploring stablecoins for X money and is in talks with Stripe, which that makes sense because of the monetization payments and all that type of stuff. If you guys remember way back in the day, before Elon took over on X, they used to have crypto tipping bots. Well, those are gone because they're so expensive to operate, but I can really see X using stable coins on their platform or maybe other cryptos. And again, they've already started to get their money transmitter license. And then last but not least, Apple. Apple has been in talks with stablecoin firms, including Circle, since January. And this would actually be a game changer if Apple integrated stablecoin payments, primarily because they already have their Apple Pay. And again, I know that this is just with stable coins and not with any specific cryptos yet, but the fact that they're having their conversations, this is bullish for the long term. Number one, we have the Genius Act that is almost passed, basically regulating stable coins, etc. So these companies can essentially move forward. Plus, these companies will also have to pick what ecosystem they want to have their stable coin or whatever stable coin they choose to use operate on. And then that could potentially lead to these companies adding specific cryptos to their balance sheet or their treasury, etc. So yes, even though we're not in a crazy altcoin season right now and the bull market is kind of like meh, this is good, this is positive because these are massive tech companies. They have been around for a long period of time and they would not spend their time exploring stablecoin or any type of crypto integration if they weren't really planning on doing it, at least in my personal opinion. And now that we actually have pro-crypto public servants in the United States of America, this is the perfect timing. Well, the perfect storm if you want to think of it that way. Anyways, drop me your thoughts below. I'm very curious to hear them. Bye.